my bug. Suck my bug.
How would you children like to suck on my chocolate salty balls?
Oh, you mean like a chocolate candy?
No, I mean my balls.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Suck
Suck my bug.
My
Suck my bug. Suck my bug.
Balls.
Suck my bug.
Soon to be SMB, as we have to try to re-acronym to get better stuff in the algorithm. But Suck My Balls, South Park Review, right here on all podcast outlets. And hopefully you're also watching on YouTube. Either or, I don't know. As long as you listen to the show, that's all that matters to us. But I am not alone, as each and every week I'm joined by a bountiful, a plentiful, a basket full of different individuals. You might be asking yourself, who am I, though, if this is your first time listening? Well, I'm your host in the heat. I can't be beat. I'm your guy who's high where the air is dry. Your boy, MS to the G. You can follow me as a podcast, all of us as a podcast. Linktr.ee/SouthParkPod. That'll give you all the links. We'll go through the roundabout at the end. But I am not alone. Before we get to the main event, because the main event is our trivia champion, but before we get to him, returning to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, he's the man who brings the pain in the digital marketing game. He's the guy who gets the picks for tantalizing clicks. Ladies and gentlemen, Becker. Welcome back to the show, guy.
I don't even know who that was directed at that point, but if it's for me, welcome back. I'm glad to be here. And if it's for Joe, sorry, I just stole every single ounce.
Joe's got his own.
No, that was totally you.
Joe knows.
Hey, when he said digital marketing man with the most clicks for picks, that actually both of those are really, really accurate. It's usually picks for clicks though. But as you can see, I can't get picks or clicks on my own.
Well, welcome back, sir, for Go God Go Part 2. We appreciate you making your appearance once again. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this man is a doctor of thugonomics. This man is a doctor of punkonomics. This man is a doctor of polyphonics. But most importantly, he is a pro wrestling writer. He is a pro wrestling booker. He is an announcer for hire. And of course, he is yes, and this is factual, the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 South Park Trivia Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a trivia god, Joe Dirty J. He's got
Yes. Quiet, Joe. Quiet. Good job.
Yes, I'm very quiet. Good to be back. Nice to make your acquaintance, Mr. Dane. Go God Go 12 is one of my favorite episodes, period. Like, you combine the two, it's great, but of the two, the second part is just the banger. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I did see him Sunday because we started playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I saw Scoop on Sunday, and he just dropped a pallet on his foot, he told me today. So I don't think he's going to make it to the podcast. His boss was urging him to go to the hospital. He's like, no, I'll just walk it off. But shout out to you, Scoop. I'm Mac Daddy. That's to see the double OP. Anyway.
Well, he meant literally walk it off, as in walk the foot off, get a prosthetic, and start over again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He said it was like 85 pounds. It dropped on his foot.
Oh, yeah, that motherfucker's broken.
So what you're saying is that he's disabled, but not from birth? Crazy.
It might not be. It might not be.
Are you crippled from birth, or are you crippled from an accident like that?
Yeah.
Butthole Christopher Reeves.
Your friend's just like hobbling and then just grabs a baby.
Me and Timmy think that you're not people who aren't born by crits. I did.
Hey, dog, everyone's a born crip.
Well, yes, Scuba should be feeling fine, but yes, we've been playing a lot of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, too much of it, to be quite honest. But that is another topic for another day. You are here, the listener or the viewer, and maybe just listening in the background, to get your South Park fix, to get another review, to get part 2, as I mentioned. Go God, go XII, as Joe said, go God, go 12. And it is the funny portion, I'd say, of the arc, because the first episode was good, but the second one definitely sets up a lot more jokes. It is the 13th episode of season 10, and is the 152nd overall episode. And if you guessed it, that means it's Suck My Balls, episode number 155. Your first time listening, we'd like to review the show linear fashion. So we're up to episode 152 of South Park. This one aired on November 8th, 2006. And we are recording this in November of 2022. You will be listening to this in December of 2022. So, or maybe you'll listen to it later. So happy holiday season. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy, I don't know, other religions that might happen in December other than Christmas. Enjoy it. Spend time with your family, your loved ones, your dogs. Spend time with a lot of times with your dogs and your cats. They need your time during this. But I digress. Let's get into the episode. So this is Go God Go. Joe, do we need to bring him up to speed? Or as a trivia god, are you okay? Do you know what's going on?
I'm quite familiar with what's going on here.
Okay. Well, Eric Cartman has frozen himself in the previous episode in an attempt to make his 3-week wait for the Nintendo Wii pass by quickly for those who missed our first recap. Now, freak accident, though, lands him 500 years into the future, and he's now stuck in a godless world, which is on the brink of war. And, of course, he has no Nintendo Wii. I just remember Nintendo Wii. So this episode starts off as Cartman. He's still trapped in the future, right? He's being held captive by the Sea Otter faction, the Allied Atheist Alliance, AAA. Joe,
only logical.
Joe, lastly,
the only one.
Dane says it was the only one. Do you agree with that? Was that your retort? Is that your mark there?
It really is. I have to go with the otters here. I mean, they gained sentience and knowledge somehow. Like, I think it's by embracing that Allied Atheist Alliance is the only logical name.
Because it has 3 A's, right?
It's alliterative.
Yeah, and in the future, there's obviously not old people. There's no AAA. That's an open space. And as the digital marketing professional here that Matt so kindly called out, AAA is just going to look a lot better on your float screen. So
it'll just have morphed into the AAA MCO. Like that, they'll just be all one company.
And as we'll see, they're the most rational group because they have perfectly good tummies.
Perfectly good tummies.
They really are.
So this episode starts off with essentially a barter, if you will, right? Cartman has struck up a deal with the Allied Atheist Alliance that he will help them in regards to the chosen people, Mrs. Garrison and Richard Dawkins, being from that time frame, him being the time child. In exchange for his help, he wants, of course, his Nintendo Wii. However, there's a crisscross. As after Cartman gets the Nintendo Wii, he bounces and he manages to warp back to the United Atheist Alliance, the UAA headquarters. And then, of course, he is going to be like, here's the information I got, throws them the little vial, or I guess we have to assume some sort of time portal data, USB or whatever, throws it to him, and then he attempts to hook up his Wii. Joe, jump in.
Which this is how you know the United Atheist Alliance is clearly the wrong choice here. They send in Cartman. They have nefarious intent. They trust they utilize Cartman as a weapon. They're sneaky bastards. They are not trusting creatures like the Allied Atheist Alliance and the Sea Otter faction.
True, but of course the sea otters do retort here that they still wanted to eat the time child off of their tummies. if he.
Well, after he was only because he got double crossed again. He was willing to trust the Time Child. He was giving the Time Child what he wanted, and Cartman does what Cartman does.
Yeah, and it seems like that's an extremely fair point because if the Otters are trusting Cartman, they don't know Cartman. They don't know that that's mistake number one. But like, if they're trusting him and he got double crossed, I mean, why didn't the original people that had Cartman get him the Nintendo Wii themselves? Why did Cartman have to go to the Sea Otters in the first place? So it seems like Cartman just jumped on an opportunity. The Otters saw theirs, and then who got left in the dirt at the end of the day? As usual, it's the Sea Otters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's jump
The
into
UAA weaponized Cartman in their battle against the Otters.
Yeah. We need to call Richard Dawkins about this right now because this is a real issue.
All right, jumping in now to the episode here. Let's watch the very first 30 seconds, or the intro here.
And young Eric Cartman cannot wait for the new Nintendo Wii to come out. Unable to cope with the wait any longer, Eric decides to freeze himself for 3 weeks. But a freak avalanche makes Eric impossible to find, and so he remains frozen for 500 years.
Right. And that is, of course, the intro to the episode there, them doing the homage once again to that classic television show. Joe, you were not here last week. What did you watch this show growing up at all? You're a little bit older than me.
I didn't watch it. I never watched Buck Rogers, but I at least knew what Buck Rogers was and everything. And I think it was probably more because I was introduced to the franchise through Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. And then from there it was Buck Rogers. So, and I'm talking about the original short from the 40s, not the garbage Cartoon Network tried to do a couple years ago.
Yeah, we don't that one.
Yeah, although that theme by Tom Jones slaps.
Anything past 99, 2000. Basically anything after Space Jam, I really don't consider them to me anymore, to be quite honest. After that, I was
literally about to ask if Tom Jones was in Space Jam. I got a little mixed up there.
Past Space Jam, yeah, I don't. And it's
He's one of the basketball players.
And it's too bad because didn't they have a sequel? Kind of that ended up bombing or whatever like that. It wasn't called Space Jam, but it was another Looney Tunes.
It was Space Jam: A New Legacy.
No, I'm not talking about, again, I'm not talking about that. That's Cyber Jam. Okay, they weren't even in space. Okay, or Space Mountain.
Cyberspace is a kind of space. I will defend that movie till I die.
Are you kidding me? That movie was garbage.
Do you mean Back in Action?
I'm talking about Space Jam. Yeah, Looney Tunes Back in Action. But Space Jam 2 was garbage. Okay, are you kidding me?
Well, of course it was.
No
one's arguing that. I mean, yeah, even if
get the fuck out of here, Granola.
It was still crappy. You can't talk crap about the first Space Jam. That's got way too much nostalgia. Notwithstanding the R. Kelly song that begins the entire movie, we just kind of don't pay attention to that part. But we like Michael Jackson, so we're Michael Jackson. Wow, Michael Jordan. God, Lord, man. Oh, Lord. Either I showed how wide I was or how stupid I was just now.
Well, I mean, Michael Jackson is the natural progression from R. Kelly. So,
and he plays Lola Bunny in that movie. So I don't know what everyone's all up in arms about.
So yeah, the Looney Tunes Back in Action, they had said because of that failed franchise that movie didn't garner as much revenue as say Space Jam did. Because of that, we never got the follow-ups. Like they were going to do a Space Jam X-Play type skateboarding version with Tony Hawk, essentially. I wish I was like, dude, that would have been sick to do Space Jam with Tony Hawk or whatever. But other than that, and they were going to do one with Venus Williams apparently at one point in time for tennis. And other things like that. So there you go. Anyway, back to the episode here. As we were talking about Buck Rogers. Dane mentioned last week he was a big Buck Rogers fan.
I was. As someone that grew up in the 1950s, I was all about it.
Well, you got the hair and the glasses right now, so
I do. And I work in digital marketing, which is just why? Why would you? Why would that just sounds like the 1950s? Honestly, I'm making Campbell's soup cans, but in the digital space, which honestly, like you said about Space Jam 2, who cares about cyberspace anyway? Right?
He's a new age Don Draper.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I create ads in the digital world, which basically means I sit in front of my computer and then download templates and edit them. Money, money, money. All right, we're done here. Just called myself out. If any employer is watching this or anyone that wants to hire my services, just don't pay attention. Just don't.
It's okay. We can edit stuff out. What I was going to say is I like the glasses combination here. I feel like you guys should do some sort of show next where you guys could just talk about stuff where you
I'm thinking so. It's kind of like when someone comes up to me and is like, oh, yeah, you probably know my gay friend Tony. It's like, yeah, people with glasses and gay people all know each other and are all living in like basically the same universe. So you and Joe have already discussed this. And I think the show that we're going to come up with is South Park with more glasses. Right, Joe?
Yeah, it is. We're going to record on Tuesdays.
Take that, Matt.
Well, just like the asexual I am, I'm always just sitting here by myself. So let's get back to this episode, though. We start off with Cartman now, as I mentioned at the intro there. We'll jump into this clip here. He's, of course, with the Allied Atheist. It's otters riding
Whoa, steady!
Steady!
This way, otters!
That's me when I wake up in the morning.
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Risked much bringing you here, time child.
Otters may have evolved to the point you can talk, but I don't need lectures.
Don't let the time child out of your sight. He could try to run.
We have a deal, Blavius. As long as I get what I want, you have nothing to worry about.
Famous last
Something is
words.
spooking the ostriches.
Something.
Sure, this is Monarch Land now. Probably Jarvis probes everywhere.
He just knows the
Here
lay
it
of the
is.
land
We
now.
arrived. Hold! This is it, time child. The old Museum of Technology, abandoned long ago. Let's get what you want, time child, and get out of here.
All right, let me mute this, but I'm just going to move forward here just because
It's like The Last of Us with more water mammals. What the hell? The post-apocalyptic atheist world is insane. Did religion do this? Like, why in the world does this exactly look like 29 days later or whatever the hell?
So in the background here, I want to point out, it looks like I would say, obviously, you got a GameCube there, some sort of Xbox and PlayStation to the left. You've got your Wii. And then what looks like I'm going to have to assume is a Pac-Man arcade to the left and the back. And the right, I'm not sure, but Dance Dance Revolution.
It looks like DDR with the rails.
Yeah, with the
rails. Yep.
So that's the games of our ancestors here at the Museum of New Hampshire.
Okami Game Sphere in the corner, Matt? Was that an Okami Game Sphere? I didn't mean for you to pull that away before.
Oh, no, it actually was, a
weird orb thing.
I didn't have it full screen, but it looks like it could be. It's probably an Okami Game Sphere, but it actually looks like more like an Atari, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little off.
It looks like an Atari, but then there might be like a phone that would be standing up as the screen. So, like I said, it could be an Okami Game Sphere, but it just wasn't very clear in that part of the picture. So, as I mentioned there, Cartman, of course, double crosses the Allied Atheist Alliance and returns. Now, when he returns to headquarters, he now has his own automated assistant, which is a dog, Bark Bark. And
that was a really great impression, Matt.
Bark Bark, Bark Bark. And then following this, he also wants to do one thing and one thing only, and that is hook up his Nintendo Wii. But here lies the problem. He's in the future, and therefore the technology may not be able to support this ancient civilized piece of technology itself. Joe?
And let's be real, like the Wii came out after the advent of HD technologies, so the Wii was almost obsolete with with the RCA hookups even when it released.
Well, I mean, to be realistic, I mean, the Wii was a GameCube with hyped up new controls. Is really what it was, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because I mean, it had GameCube loader, and it was pretty much still GameCube graphics. There wasn't HD. Wii U was what finally introduced HD to Nintendo. So I mean, the Nintendo Wii didn't even have HD.
Yeah, wasn't it literally the same exact internals too? Then they just put it in a white box.
Yeah, like I said, the only difference is now it had supported the capability for peripheral-based controllers, right? Using those style of controllers or radio.
Nintendo knows how to make that money, dude. Goodness, low cost, high value. I swear those switches are made out of plexi.
Bro, I love my Switch on my OLED.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the greatest console ever. I have like 3.
I have the OLED and the light, and then Joe's got his Switch as well. So
yes,
we're all part of the Switch family.
So let's go ahead and dock each other because we love Switches.
Whoa.
I'm real sorry about that, dude.
You're giving me and Joe a raging clue. Hey, Joe, what did your clue say?
Oh, my clue says to go that way.
Oh, your clue's pointing that way? Let's go that way.
Hey, you.
Just send a maintenance guy to my room. I want this Nintendo hooked up to my float screen now. Come in. Come in.
The thing is, what games is he? He doesn't have a game.
What kind of output does this have?
That's a great question.
This is some ancient Super VHS output or something. I can't connect it to your float screen.
There's gotta be some way to hook it up. It's the freaking future.
It may be the future for you, but I can't hook up anything to a float screen without at least a Laser 7 output.
You gotta be shitting me. Science, damn it. I'm so fucking sick of the future.
TC, what's wrong?
EC, he's got his own acronym.
I've been waiting 500 years to play the Nintendo Wii. And if I don't get to play real soon, I'm gonna bust a nut.
Well, we're all glad you're back. I know somebody who's missed you very much. Come on in, K10.
Bark, bark. Bark, bark. Hello, Eric. I have missed you.
Suck my balls, K10. I'm not in the mood.
Everything about that is just great because obviously an android can't have feelings and all that fun shit.
Yeah, fuck that dog.
That dog. So he brings up a good point, though. I mean, even now, like, let's say here, if you went out and you didn't know what you were buying, right? So, like, I went out, I bought a retro Sega Saturn a couple years ago. And you were there, Joe. So we went out, we got the Sega Saturn. Now, let's say if I did not have the mindset to understand, okay, I need to get some sort of conversion, either from coaxial to another thing, or I need to go S video to 720p, YR, PR, PB, whatever, red, white, and yellow bullshit. But if I didn't know that or that technology wasn't available, then I obviously couldn't play that console. Now, 500 years in the future, it would be safe to assume that, yeah, that those wires and technology of even just HDMI cables would not be available. We would have advanced to something else, and they probably would have been in, dumps, and they would have been burned or recycled or over and over and over again at this point. Hopefully, if the world had survived on science, which by this point we have to imagine it would have.
Still, every converter they have at that Museum of Technology.
Yeah, they had nothing. No, there was like no wires bag that the rest of us normal people have. There was nothing. No collection of HDMI cables or random crap. And I can speak on the obsolescence of this stuff to get really in depth with it. Things go obsolete all the time. There's tons of things like Doctor Who episodes and things that you just can't play anymore because the technology to play them does not exist. And that's crazy to think about, that like we could literally use the ability to watch stuff. But that does happen. But Matt brought up an even better point. Cartman doesn't have a game. What is he going to do? It's not even built with games. It doesn't come with sports already on it. This is some sort of Alibaba product.
And we have established that, well, we haven't established at that point, but we've established that they're in the year 2500 something. And the Wii store is closing in what, March 23? Or it's already closed? Something like that. Like,
no eShop.
So it's not, so we can't no eShop. Like, you can't download anything.
Yeah, and then the 3DS one, I think, is shutting down either this year or in April of next year. Finally, the 3DS store is going to be done, and so is the Wii U. That one's coming to an end.
Oh yeah. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking.
Which, like, if I had a Wii U, I wish I had a Wii U right now. You can get a lot of awesome virtual games on there for like $5. Nintendo won't obviously repackage and put it part of their online store or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, I'm going on a diatribe here once again. So Nintendo Wii, unfortunately for Cartman, is inaccessible. So he, of course, now sees a commercial for something called the Crank Yank time phone, whatever, time yanker. It's a phone call machine that lets you make prank phone calls to the past. And he wants to call the past, or he wants to get the machine so that way he can call himself in the past and warn himself not to freeze himself, because if you freeze yourself, you're going to come to the future and you're still not going to be able to play Nintendo Wii.
Totally normal thought process from Cartman, as usual.
Of course. So, meanwhile, it's learned that Richard Dawkins was the founder of the Worldwide of Atheism. This is how we find out in this episode. And Miss Garrison, eventually, who he marries, maintain that logic and reason aren't enough. You also have to be a dick to everyone who doesn't think like you. And as a result, atheism split into 3 factions. These 3 groups differ on what they perceive to be the answer to the great question, each believing the other group's answer to the question is illogical and thus unacceptable. The Allied Atheist Alliance also objects to humans for, of course, illogically cutting down the trees to make tables instead of just eating off of their tummies when they have perfectly good tummies. But they also, revere Dawkins.
As a god figure, which totally goes against science.
Right, exactly. The Otters have set up false claim fields, which the United Atheist Alliance plans to attack, leaving their own city defenseless from the Unified Atheist League, that's a stupid name. The UAL, y'all, attack, thus leaving both the you-all and the you-all vulnerable to thus leaving them vulnerable to attack from the AAA. When one otter, of course, is going to ask if war is truly just and that perhaps it is acceptable to believe in something supernatural and or paranormal, if only for the purpose of filling social needs as a brief reflection. That person's name was the Wise One.
Kill the wise one! The wise one! Kill the one!
They want to kill the Wise One. Exactly.
Well, yeah, because he totally just he went from atheism to monotheism.
Yeah, and it's not like they're doing the same thing that they complain religions used to do, which is just basically kill anybody that didn't believe exactly like they did. They're atheists, so it's completely different. The meta commentary here is very thick.
Oh, totally.
I like it. All right, so let's jump in here to the Otters here, as the Otters are preparing for the attack. And then we'll go into Cartman getting the Crank Yank time phone, or the way he gets it from. Was he wears a mustache and a hat, dresses up with Bark? Because he doesn't have the money, the credits, as they call it in the future, to purchase the Crank Yank time. Which is funny, because there's a scene, then he's waiting for the. Okay, we'll get there. Here's the otter scene.
Maybe some otters do need to believe in something. Who knows? Maybe just believing in God makes God exist.
That's when.
Kill the wise one! Kill the wise one! What? Wait!
That's how Imagination Land should have ended.
Yeah, exactly. In the most brutal and prolific, murderous way possible.
All right, now we jump into the Crank Yank scene here.
Wondering if you'd like to be a pepper too? God darn ya!
That was a great one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hello, I'm with the Cubic Waste Department. I need to check your Lortran for inhibitors.
Cartman with a mustache gets me. I want this as a Funko
Okay,
Pop.
I guess. Come on in, Bob.
No one in South Park ever notices
All
that
right,
they're
just let me
children
use
when
my
they do this.
tools.
It's all good.
I like these bubble entrapments or whatever.
Stupid assholes! I got your time phone.
Bark, bark.
Science H logic. What a jerk!
What is the H for still, guys? I don't even know what it was with Jesus. What is it now?
Jesus Henry Christ? Hank?
I thought he looks
God
more
damn
like a herald to me.
God damn it. It's
Hoobastank.
Hoobastank.
Jesus Hoobastank Christ. That's like the name of the next episode, honestly.
That's why I need a reason for you.
I said Hoobastank. I'm gonna be thinking about that.
Found a reason. Okay. So after the wise one is attacked and Cartman gets the crank yank time phone, Cartman then uses the time phone to, of course, call himself in the past to try and warn himself, do not freeze yourself. He also calls Butters and Kyle to convince them to both prevent his past self from freezing himself. Of course, he's not believed by anybody. His friends and all of his attempts fail. However, the latter call causes Kyle to miss a ride, which slightly alters certain aspects of the future, including Cartman's clothes. His robotic dog K10 turns into a robotic cat called Kit 9 as well. And so he, just by Kyle missing that one day of school or whatever it was, it altered the future. Quite interesting. Little butterfly effect there for you. Which, by the way, is one of Ashton Kutcher's best movies of all time. The Butterfly Effect.
Saying the Ashton Kutcher best movie of all time is saying like a least problematic Scientology member. You know what I mean? Like Ashton Kutcher's got some hits, but like spanned out across, you know, his bell curve was a little low. I'm just saying.
Fair,
Jaws was a great movie.
And saying that about Butterfly Effect just like denies the existence of Dude, Where's My Car?
I mean, come on. That's a funny stoner movie, but I meant as far as a cultural standpoint and a masses. You know,
I was speaking ironically. You just totally killed the joke.
I know.
No, you were doing it literally.
Dude, Where's My Car? So,
Dude, where's my drinking time for?
No, Butthead, I was speaking iconically.
Oh.
yeah. Speaking of kind of. Into the clip now. Here's Cartman calling himself in the past.
Patient. What? Who the hell is this? It's me. Me who? Me you. What? I'm you in the future. You have to be patient and wait for the Nintendo Wii to come out, or else you wake up in the future and have to deal with a bunch of sea otters. Oh, very funny, Kyle. It's not Kyle, it's you. Yeah? Well, you can go fuck yourself. I'm trying to do you a favor, dumbass. Just listen to me. Listen to this. Dickhead.
Dickhead.
What an asshole!
That was pretty meta.
Hello?
Butters!
Eric? Is that you?
Butters, listen to me. Just listen. I'm about to come over to your house and ask you to help me freeze myself. Do not do it.
Eric, are you playing a joke on me again?
No, this is not a joke. Whatever I say to you, Butters, no matter how hard I try, do not do what I tell you.
But you're here right now.
Butters, come on, we gotta go. No, don't listen to me. Tell me to go screw myself.
Huh?
Come on, Butters, it's gonna get dark.
But you're telling me not to go with you.
What? Who the fuck is this? Ah, damn it, just listen to me. If you freeze yourself, you're going to die. Suck my balls. No, you suck my balls. Just listen to me for 1 minute. Okay, you have 1 minute. Right before you left for Butters' house, you drank a bunch of Ovaltine and put Clad Frog in the closet so nothing would happen to him, right? Are you spying on me? No, I am you stupid asshole! Fuck you, asshole. You can go fuck yourself.
Does Cartman just not believe his plan would ever come to fruition? Like, he's the one that's freezing himself, and he's getting a call from future him, and he just, like, doesn't believe it at all. Like, Cartman, do you just not believe in anything that you do half the time unless it ends in murder?
I guess maybe
didn't think he'd fail.
I was gonna say maybe in his mind, there's no if he was successful, then he just freezes for 3 weeks, gets his Wii, and moves about his life.
Yeah, he would never think, why would I be calling myself telling me not to do it? Obviously, I'm going to get a Nintendo Wii out of this. You know what, guys?
Wait a minute, you talking about? I'm going to get my Nintendo Wii. Fuck you, cat.
I was going to say, Kyle is doing this so he could get the Nintendo Wii before Cartman.
You guys make too much sense. That's why I'm here. You guys make too much sense.
He wants a Nintendo Wii before I do. Right, exactly. So after that, as I mentioned, Cartman messes up Kyle's day. The Allied Atheist Alliance, the United Atheist Alliance, and United Atheist League. No, United Atheist Alliance, and then United Atheist League. That's a stupid name. All basically start to have their all-out battle, right? In the midst of all of this, it's discovered that the reason why Cartman is there, he's finally told, is because of the fact of Miss Garrison and Dawkins, right? Becoming an item. So Cartman at this point thinks, well, how can I get out of here? Maybe if I call back to the past and I talk to the atheist person. Now, I'm sure he wasn't trying to break up a relationship. He was just starting to think, let me talk to Miss Garrison, Mr. Garrison, or whoever she wants to call herself before the sex change operation, so I can try to talk to her how to figure out how to get the fuck out of here, right? However, by doing so, he's going to reveal to Dawkins that she was priorly a man, and that grosses him out. And unfortunately, the future is going to be changed as well. Some shocking evidence has come to light here. So let's jump into that scene. This is kind of close to the climax of the episode with Cartman and Kit 9 now, not Bark Bark Meow Meow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a monkey. Give this monkey what she wants. Oh, Miss Garrison. Damn it, who the hell is calling?
Why would you answer the phone while you're having sex? No, by the way, I don't know.
Garrison residence. Can you call back later, please?
It's an emergency! It's an emergency!
An emergency?
I need to speak with Mr. Garrison right now!
I'm sorry, but Mr. Garrison has passed away. Mrs. Garrison is the only person here, and she's rather tied up at the moment.
Look, asshole! This is a real emergency! Just pass
I love
phone
the
to
oh
whatever
shit
Garrison
look
wants to
on
call
her
himself
face.
Sex change operation!
Sex change
And
operation?
he's still inside.
Uh-oh.
It's still inside.
Oh, you're a man? Not anymore, I've been fixed. Richard, hold on, I can explain. Explain? How could I be so stupid? Richard, come back, please.
I mean, you saw the
Well,
breasts.
go
dude.
ahead
Shit
and leave,
now,
you
right?
atheist faggot. Have fun mocking God in hell, you queer.
Mr. Garrison! Mr. Garrison!
And then all of a sudden, Cartman is now done.
He's good.
All right, Eric, are you all set to go?
Go. Right.
Right.
Where am I going?
We told you we're sending you home with the Crank and Wank time machine.
Crank and Wank.
Don't worry, my son. When you return to your time, you will merge with your other self. It's all very zen.
Wait, isn't everybody at war over atheism?
Atheism? No. We've learned to get rid of all the isms in our time. Yes, long ago we realized isms are great for those who are rational, but in the hands of irrational people, isms always lead to violence.
It's true.
So there is no war now in the future.
Oh, no, of course.
Of course there's war. The stupid French Chinese think they have a right to Hawaii.
Yeah!
Yeah.
But now the moment has come to send you back to your time.
We unfroze you for a purpose, and now that purpose is
And
fulfilled.
what was that purpose
And
again?
what was that purpose again?
We explained that to you already.
Right.
Goodbye, Eric. I will miss you. Squawk, squawk.
I'll miss you too, Cock-a-3.
So long, Eric.
He knows the
Tell
name.
everyone in the past
Right, he
for us
knows it's
that no one
Cock-a-3.
single answer is
And the
ever the
wise
answer.
one's back.
And unfortunately for Eric, he's put right back here.
Eh. I'm back. Wow, I'm back!
There you are, Eric.
Mom! Mom, they did it!
Eric, you have to come home. You can't just wait here for that game to come out.
No, I know. You're right, Mom. I need to learn to be patient. I think I can wait 3 weeks for Nintendo Wii to come out.
But, honey, it's only September. That Nintendo Wii doesn't come out for 2 months.
Oh, shit.
What? No! No! You sent me back too far! Hey! Do it over!
Who are you talking to, Muffin?
I can't wait 2 months! I can't! There has to be a way around this!
Hey, kid, somebody's on the phone for you?
Hello? No? No!
Don't do it.
I know what you're thinking! Do not do it! You just need to be patient and wait the 2 months. Do you hear me? Suck my buzz, cow.
Oh God.
Even after going through all that, Cartman still.
He's as dense as he is big boned.
That's right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your full recap. We'll be right back on the other side for some trivia, some pop culture, maybe a little bit of our final thoughts and more. We'll be right back. Subscribe to Suck My Balls, a South Park review on Spotify, Apple's, iTunes, anywhere you want to download a podcast. Just type that in, subscribe to our feed, and you'll get the latest, greatest episode each and every week. You can also listen to us on YouTube and go back and watch some videos or any of our library. It's all there. Suck My Balls, South Park review. And of course, once again, shout out to our sponsors there, provided by Spreaker. Of course, if you are listening on the podcast, we appreciate you constantly downloading the show. And, you know, whether you listen to the advertiser or not, we appreciate you supporting us. If you do, say you got it from us, the South Park Review podcast. And of course, please continue to hit that like and subscribe button right here on YouTube. It's because of you we've had an exponential amount of subscribers and watch time in just the last month alone. So thank you as well. And now we are going to get in to some freaking trivia. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this man is the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 South Park Trivia Champion. He is a trivia god. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Vernola.
This is the first episode that shows Garrison in a relationship since breaking up with Mr. Slave. Stan and Kenny do not appear in this episode, and Kyle only appears in one scene. Cartman's robot dog and cat are named K10 and Kit9. When the numbers are switched, this comes to K9 and Kit10, or Kitten and K9.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I never got Kit 10. What the hell?
How did we not get that? That's good. What was the last one?
Kaka 3 is a playoff of Kaka 2.
Oh God! Oh, really? Is it trivia genius?
The New Hampshire Museum of Technology is a satire of many real historical museums in that state. Items displayed during the in the museum are a microwave, an off-brand iPod, generic audio cassette player with headphones, a GameCube, and it was a 5200 like you were saying, PSX, and a couple arcade cabinets, along with the vaunted Nintendo Wii in the center display.
I watched way too much Angry Video Game Nerd to not spot what
dude, same.
And
go ahead. Yeah.
The use of credits is a common trope for future currency.
Go ahead, hit us with that pop culture too.
All right. The Nintendo Wii was released November 19th, 2006, about 2 months after the end of the episode.
15 days after this episode, I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah, 15 after the episode, but he goes back 2 months at the end. Richard Dawkins is an outspoken atheist, ethnologist, and author of the books The Selfish Gene and The God Delusion. The opening narrative and music, as well as much of the episode, is a satire of Buck Rogers in the 25th century, as well as several other films dealing with time travel and the future. There's a little bit of Logan's Run in there too, which is kind of nice. The title of the episode was a reference to the P.D. Eastman children's book Go Dog Go. The Roman numeral designation is arbitrary according to the DVD commentary. It does seem like something they would just throw there.
Yep, exactly.
The three groups in the future are a reference to the Judean socialist resistance groups in The Life of Brian.
Life of Brian.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Life of Brian.
The crank prank time phone and radio interference heard during its use is a reference to the film Frequency. The word time phone on the box uses the same typeface as Blade Runner.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yep. Cartman and K10's entry into the house of the boys with the time phone is similar to a scene in Terry Gilliam's Brazil. Once again, we have more Monty Python, where two mechanics comically try to enter Sam Lowry's house. The otters seem to be wearing Scouters, technological devices worn by the Saiyans in the Dragon Ball series.
They definitely look like Saiyans, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Vegeta's gimmick.
It's over 9,000.
Yeah, right.
Cartman's power level is very, very high.
Of course.
Dog shit taco! And when one of the boys claims that he is a pepper and asks the man over the time phone if he would like to be a pepper too, this, of course, is a reference to the Be a Pepper ad campaign from the late 70s till the mid 80s used by Dr. Pepper.
Oh, wow. I was not around for that one. That's interesting. I always thought that was just a stupid joke, though. Are you a pepper?
Yeah, I'm looking for Amanda Kiss and Hug. Amanda Kiss and Hug.
Right, Amanda Kiss and Hug.
Hey, everybody, I'm looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Good trivia, good factoids, Joe.
And here's one little piece of continuity here. Though this episode is the second part of the last episode, it is actually purposefully implied that several episodes have occurred between the last and this, furthering the allusions to Buck Rogers.
Well, see, because okay, they're just saying the 12 is arbitrary. They were just trying to go a little higher than 2. Okay, right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your references to pop culture, your continuity, your trivia, your full recap. And as I always say, Joe, what'd you like about this episode?
The otters. Simply put, the otters. No, this time, child, I will break your and eat your entrails on my tummy, or whatever the line was. Like, just kill the wise and just everything about the otters.
They're really the best thing about those episodes. And they you know what? If they were going to do a spin-off show, why did it have to be one about George Bush? It should have been about the sea otters. They need a whole show about that. I'm thinking a 9-season run, and then they can retire with
that. Should have been the show. I mean, they came out with that face swapping show or whatever during COVID or whatever. I don't know if you saw it on YouTube, where they were using that real face swap technology to pretend to do like political people like Trump and Biden, but they were voicing them. It was hysterical.
Funny catfishing.
Yeah, exactly. So they did that, or deep fake. There you go. So they had like this deep fake type show during COVID, but they should have done an otter show. I totally agree. Mr. Becker, what did you like about this episode?
I liked the religious meta commentary. As someone that went to private Christian school for a lot of their upbringing, not by riches or choice, but by the sake that you would get murdered in public school where I was going to school.
You're the South. That's what it's like. Christian fried chicken.
Yeah, exactly. So that part of it I really enjoyed because it reminds me a lot of my upbringing, because I went from very, very religious to being very, very atheist to now being more even keeled, kind of like Trey is. So that was really interesting to see both sides of that argument, because I've read Dawkins' books, and some of that can get, whereas he's more factoidal. You go to other people like Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. He's wrote some very heavy atheist books that I've read, and they really, really start to sniff their own farts after a while. Nothing against atheists at all. I don't care about that part. It's mostly just anybody that has an ism, like they say in this episode, kind of tends to own it a little harder than they should, and they just don't pass the vibe check. You don't want them on the rotation. So I Dawkins would not be invited to my house because they start to smell their own farts after a while. Let's just be honest. That's just prevalent in any community, even the atheist one. So that's the part I like the most. And then if you were going to go off second best, Joe's honestly right. I mean, you can end the episode right there. Sea otters. That's literally the greatest thing that has come out, even this season. I love the sea otters. So honestly, scratch that first hoity-toity bullshit thing I said. Sea otters is my answer.
Well, I enjoyed the sea otters as well. I would also, I enjoy just Cartman's arc, his 2-episode arc, him wanting to get a Nintendo Wii. And he's so impatient that he's willing to freeze himself, literally kill himself, to then be unfrozen. And after knowing that, he's then willing to reproduce it again because the sea otters, once again, quote, are the sea otters, all the isms or whatever new group they're calling themselves, send Cartman back 2 months too early. So because, obviously they probably wanted to send him back to a time where it'd be easier to send him back to, not just on the exact same day where he decided to freeze himself. Maybe they should have sent him back then. So that way he wouldn't have frozen himself that day and he could have waited the 3 weeks and then it would have actually worked. But I digress.
Maybe the otters, like the rest of the world, use like the 9 November date setup. And so they thought that they were sending him to the right
exact
week.
day, but it was 500. Right, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and there is a scientific theory about time and dilation to where if you do go forward and backwards in time, you will not land in the same place at the same time, even if you try to return to that place, because just the physical act of moving forward through time changes where you were in the past already. So
hey, look,
you really want to get deep and stupid with it.
Look, you're not Grant Gustin. I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah, I watched Interstellar once. It's okay.
Okay, you're not Grant Gustin here, and this isn't The Flash, okay? Until you put on some tight red tights and run around, I'm not listening anymore. I'm just kidding.
If I had a nickel every time I heard that, Matt, please.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all agree this was a fantastic episode arc itself in South Park lore of Go God Go. It's referenced time and time again as far as a South Park fanism, the fanaticism, if you will. And of course, I enjoyed the references to the video games. I'm a video game nerd myself, so I enjoyed all the video game stuff that was in the museum. Unfortunately, unacceptable that couldn't even play it. If this museum was set up, wouldn't you have put monitors and set these things up so you could see what these games and graphics look like? Otherwise, it's just a museum of hunk of junk. Who wants to go see that? That's like, I'm gonna go to the museum of telephones. Do they work? No, but they just sit there so you can look at it. Well, why would I go do that? That sounds dumb. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it.
Suck my balls.
Suck my balls. South Park review.
Suck my balls.
We're reviewing it for you
Suck my balls.
and for us each and every week.
Suck my balls.
I, of course, am your host in the heat. I can't be beat. I'm a guy who's high. Where the air's dry. Your boy, MSG, and Matthew _Schaffer on the Twitter, Instagrammer. You can follow us as a podcast at Linktr.ee/SouthParkPod. You can also, while you're there at the website, it'll direct you to our Twitter and Instagram, which is SuckMyBallsPod, or our Facebook, which is SouthParkPod, or hopefully you're watching it right here on YouTube at SouthParkPod. Send us email, suckmyballspod@gmail.com, and leave us a review. 5 stars, but, do Jared Broflasky style. Yelp style, that is. And of course, shout out to the Mac Daddy OG, the S, the C, the double OP. Probably in the hospital now, dead. I'm just kidding. And of course, our returning guest, Mr. Becker. Got anything to plug this week or anything you like to say before I pass it off to
by the time this episode comes out, thank you very much, Matt. Around that period, I should have our live show up and running. I got a live show coming out soon. We interview interesting guests, businessmen, people. I think the first episode we're going to have one of the lawyers of the Johnny Depp case. Now, I'm not saying that they are the upfront lawyers that operated on the desk in front of Johnny there and square, but I am saying we'll have
one of the paralegals or something like that.
Absolutely. And we're going to get in depth with that. We have a couple more people coming out after that. So it's Go Do Something. You can go to facebook.com, search Go Do Something, youtube.com, Go Do Something, all one word. Or by the time this episode comes out, you can go to godoso.com. And just
Joe
check
Juice?
it out right there.
Okay.
Jojuiso.com. That is it for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, Mr. Pro Wrestling Promoter, Mr. Pro Wrestling Writer. This episode will be out after December the 7th. So what do you have coming up that weekend? Is it, would you say, Omega time?
It would be Omega time. Saturday, first, I would like to put out there Saturday, December 10th in Colorado Springs, Harm for the Holidays. Manny Lemons will be in the house for that one. Sunday, however, will be the Omega 9. You will be able to find that on the Fight app, fight.tv. If you have Fight Plus, you will be able to see it for free as part of your subscription. And if you sign up for Fight Plus through our channel, Primo's Premier Pro Wrestling, we get a little bit of that action too. So
Primo's Premier Wrestling.net. Question: did Joe already announce the winner of that scholarship, or is that still happening? Can you plug that?
No, that'll be Sunday night at the show.
So if you're listening to the show between December the 7th and December the 10th, you could still potentially win a scholarship and get a full ride. If you're a female, become the next professional wrestler in Colorado, right?
And yeah, that is ladies, NBs, it's pretty wide open.
If you're a male though, you can't do it.
Cis male, no.
Not cisgender.
Cis male need not apply.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Joe's plugs for you. Of course, as we said, primosprowrestling.net. And we would tell you to follow Joe on social media right now.
Bit of a mess out there. Okay.
Well, by this time it'll be back up.
Follow
you can
Primos
find
Pro
me
Wrestling.
follow Primos Pro Wrestling. Follow me on Twitter at JV Vernola. I will probably have left Twitter and gone over to the Hive.
I know everyone's going to
then.
Hive. Either Hive or the
Yes.
Meat Bag is what I'm seeing as the next.
Hive, Meatbag, Masto, Blonde, or whatever the hell it is.
The most important thing is we'll be there each and every week to deliver South Park information and reviews and laughs for you. I'm Matt Schaefer. That's Dane Becker. And of course, Dirty Joe Vernola. We'll be back next week on another edition of Stuck.
Maybe.
Yuck my mouse. A South Park review. We appreciate you listening. Joe, are you ready for next week's episode?
Oh yes.
Next week's episode is the season finale and my least favorite episode, other than Pip, of all time, and that is Stanley's Cup. We'll be back next week for Everybody Loves Stanley's Cup here on this podcast, except for me.
You're ready?
MSG hates this episode. MSG has it all. A great podcast. Some cool ass friends. But now he has to review the episode he hates next week.